Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Awesomenauts with yours truly, SlowWolf. So, today we're going to be talking about Froggy G. That's right, you heard me, the Froggy G himself. A lot of people think he's overpowered. I'm here to tell you that I don't think he is at all. I mean, he's really strong, I'll grant you that. Does he need toning down? Maybe even likely. But he's not overpowered. He's not unbeatable. And most importantly, he's just a Froggy G. Like he's been here since the beginning, and a lot of people are deciding, hey, you know what? Let's make some grand, sweeping changes to the character. And I'm like, no, that's a bad idea. So that's what we're gonna be focusing on today. Why it's a bad idea to change Froggy G to the level that so many people want to change him. We're gonna go down the list from his top ability, i.e. his dash, go through his NATO, work on his auto attack, and then talk about him as a general character and how he is built. Starting with the dash, a lot of people think, hey, you know what? We should probably get rid of the invincibility on dash. And I think, what the heck are you smoking? Because that's some good stuff. I want some of that, so that way I could sell it, make enough money that I could probably move to California, have a good time, for at least a couple of years. Like, why get rid of the invincibility on dash? A lot of people think that he's far too difficult to catch, that Froggy G is just too hard to kill with that invincibility. Well, yeah, he's kind of hard to kill. That's kind of important for him. See, he's got next to no HP compared to some other knots. He's actually got the least in the game. And if you don't have the invincibility on dash, it is very unlikely that he'll live for very long. He can't dodge snipes, which take away more than half of his HP if he doesn't have pills. He can't dodge explodes nearly as well, and heck, he already has a hard enough time if the clunk builds properly. Most of the time, the invincibility on dash is good for getting rid of getting out of a couple of situations, but it doesn't get him out of all of them. And it seems a lot of people just don't know how to play against Frog. See, dash itself is mechanically based, is made, so that way slows and snares completely neuter it. You can't dash in a snare, you can't dash while stunned. And if you're slow, your dash will go a shorter distance than before. In fact, if you get hit by a Lone Star slow bull, you can't actually dash through the bull like you can with other ones. Heck, you can't even properly dash away from it because you're so damn slow. Your dash doesn't even make you go any distance that's worth noting. So why do people have such a problem with it? Well, that's because a lot of people don't realize that the most mobile characters in the game need to be stopped. Like, movement-wise, need to be slowed down or stopped in order to be taken care of. And Frog is no different. If you find a character and you give him a slow, you'll find that getting rid of frogs is a lot easier. Same goes for snares, same goes for silence. If you can stop his ability to dash, or if you manage to slow him down, stop him in his tracks, as it were, he will probably die. And if he doesn't have the invincibility to be able to dodge certain of the things that are out there already, like snipes, like dynamites, like mines, like imagine if you couldn't clear Yuri's mines with Frog, that's actually problematic. Then the hero or the champ, as it works, or even the knot, depending on which terminology you want to use, would probably become very bad very quickly. Getting rid of invincibility and replacing it with a shield is one of the most ridiculous ideas I've heard. A shield is not the same thing. A shield will protect from some of the damage, they say, but not so much that it will make him invincible. Well, see, it won't protect him from enough. If you dash and a snipe still hits you, yeah, you take 15. That's not so bad, I guess. But if you dash through a couple of mines in order to get rid of them for your team, if the Yuri has misplaced his mines to a point where a dash should be able to get rid of all of them, then yes, that's wonderful, but you shouldn't, like, there's no way that you want to have Yuri's mines be that lethal to one of the only ways to safely get rid of them in the game. So, invincibility on dash, it's a good thing. Keep it around. A lot of other people think that it's a good idea to get rid of the stun entirely, and again I say no. That's a bad idea. I say it's a bad idea because they won't, like, what would you replace it with? Blind? Well, I guess maybe, but even then it'd be it'd be almost as frustrating, because then you would have no idea where you were. I mean, you'd be able to move, but it would be very underpowering compared to what it is now. So, some people say it's slow. Well, that's arguably even worse. In order to balance it out in both cases, you need to have the duration of the debuff extended a great deal. Right now, stun only lasts for 1.3 seconds tops. That's a pretty decent amount of time, I'll grant you. Like 1 second in this game where you can't do anything is a frustratingly long time. However, if you have a slow, you would have to up it to 3 seconds, with a maximum of a 60% slow in order to keep up with other slows in the game, such as Lone Star's Bull or Coco's Blades. As a result, you'd have a 60% slow on you for 3 seconds when you're dashed by Frog, and I would argue that that is about 2 seconds longer and 2 seconds worse than a stun. 60% slows are notoriously horrendously bad, and imagine if there was 3 seconds where you couldn't get away from Frog's NATO. Yeah, try that one on for size. Stun is perfectly fine where it is, because it gives him about a second or two to be able to do things and allows his team to initiate properly. Maybe adjusting the numbers is necessary, I'll grant you, but right now stun is actually the lesser of the evils out there. If you gave that dash a fairly easy to land ability for the most part, the ability to just absolutely neuter movement speed, then there you go. The other reason why stun is important is for the character himself. Again, I've told you, he's incredibly frail. Not a lot of HP on that guy. If he doesn't have the stun, then he can't safely initiate. If he dashes in, he'll just get instantly killed. It's a suicide bomb at that point. The reason why Vinny is mostly safe is because his cloud gives him the ability to silence people, and because right now his spike dash is a little bit too strong. Doing, what, 105 or 104 damage? Yeah. But we're not talking about Vinny today, we're talking about Frog. Vinny's ability to dash is protected. Frog's is not. If he didn't have that stun, he would be murdered every time he dashed into a fight. So, keep the stun, don't do anything else. Otherwise, the character will become completely useless. Just change the numbers. Besides, it's a part of the character, and we'll talk about that later. Now, a lot of people have problems with NATO. Why? Is it Arbe? Well, Arbe's not as big a problem as it used to be. Durple's nuke can be manually detonated. Coco's ball can be manually detonated. Reflected Trinomite, although frustrating, is only particularly powerful if it's a face mite. And, well, if the Lone Star face mites a spinning Frog, then, well, the Lone Star's got bigger issues other than a Frog on the other team. So I don't think that Arbe is a big problem. The big player these days is the shield and the burst. Now, is the shield okay? Yeah, I think it is. 60's a lot of HP. I think it's okay. We're going to, tweak the numbers. Again, it's fine. The burst, with the stun being reduced, the burst is a lot harder to land. You can't have damage, tweeters, and another thing without sacrificing something huge. In order for NATO to be useful, you need to have one of the defensive upgrades and one of the damage upgrades, and then possibly speed, or both the damage upgrades, and hope like heck that your team is helping you be able to land the entire NATO. If you land the entire NATO, it's a lot of damage. And is it an overpowering amount of damage? Possibly. Does it take skill to land? Absolutely. It takes a decent amount of skill to land that thing, especially now that the stun is not nearly so long as it once was. So, is it too much? But you only need to tone it down a little bit. A tiny bit. Possibly. In order for that NATO to be more balanced. The one thing I don't like about NATO is just how his speed upgrade goes from, the walking speed of every knot in the game to being, well, faster than you can possibly believe. It actually makes it hard for the Frog to be able to land the NATO at all. So, why have that second level of the upgrade? I don't know. Anyway, there's not much to say about NATO other than the burst, and a lot of people haven't been chiming in about the burst on that NATO these days anyway, so it seems like we've managed to fix the problem by changing the numbers on the stun. Great, awesome, fantastic! Let's talk about his blaster. Now, a lot of people are more or less okay with his blaster these days. Some people still don't like Thornfish. I'm of the mind that Thornfish is still a little bit powerful. It could probably do with a slight price increase. But, as it stands, again, more or less balanced. For a very frail character that's highly mobile, having high attack power is kind of a requisite, especially in this character's design. Especially for his blaster, which has little other use other than to deal damage. I mean, what other... aside from Voltar and possibly Genji, that's what everybody's attack does, deal damage. That's what you want these things to do, is deal damage. Is Froggy a carry? Yeah, no, he definitely can carry a game. He's allowed to. He was designed that way. So, yeah, his blasters should deal damage. And honestly, I think right now it's in a pretty decent spot for that. If it needs any changes, they're very small, and I don't know what they are. So at this point, the big question is, what do we do with Frog as a character? Why was he designed the way that he was? Frog was designed to be a very quick, low HP, high risk, high reward character. No problem there. However, a lot of people don't seem to like that. Actually, a large amount of people think that that's a problem. They don't like playing against something that can be so powerful in the right hands. To which I say, learn to man up. Learn to deal with them. Frog is actually easy to deal with, so long as you have the right mindset and the right ability. If you have anyone on your team that has a slow, then you're set. You're golden. That completely murders Frog every day of the week. If you've got anybody with a snare, and who's quick enough with it, then again, he's gonna die. The Frog is gonna go down. Finally, if you have anybody like another Frog on your team who's got a stun, or Skoldir who's able to stun him, snare him, do all that good stuff, then yeah, Frog's gonna have a really, really hard time. So is Frog overpowered? Absolutely not. Just people don't know how to play against them. People don't realize that, yeah, status debuffs are sometimes better than damage. If not, just as, around the same importance. Getting the slow clunks explode might be a good move. Getting the snare on Skoldir's Earthquake is pretty mandatory, and so is the stun on his punch, so honestly, Skoldirs don't have too much of an issue against them. With Yuri, getting the slow on the bubble? Yeah, probably a good idea. If you've got a Raylan, increasing the height of that rift and increasing the slow will stop Frogs from being able to go anywhere. Heck, if you manage to land it while they're in NATO, they're absolutely messed up. There's nothing they can do. There's a lot of different options that I haven't even talked about. There are some knots, yeah, that are weak against them. Voltar, for instance, doesn't have much he can do against Frog. And you know what? There's a lot of stuff that Frog has a problem against. He can't do much against Clunk. He can't do too much against Skoldir. And heck, even Yuri presents a problem sometimes. Ayla is a huge problem for him. For Frog, I mean. And that's what the nature of a lot of this game is. There are certain characters that are better against others than other knots are. Lone Star completely destroys Skoldir. Skoldir completely nullifies Clunk. It's just the way the game works. If you're playing the wrong knot against the Frog, then yeah, you're going to have a hard time. If you're playing the right knot, then you're going to have an easier time. If you're going to play the right knot with the right upgrades, you're going to have a much easier time. So is Frog too strong? Maybe only a tiny bit. But is he overpowered? Absolutely not. People just don't know how to play. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for watching the gameplay in the back. There's still a few minutes of it left if you want to keep watching the game. Thank you for listening to my little rant and tirade about my favorite character, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later!
Froggy G left the building. You have killed an enemy. It's the killing spree. This is how I roll. G out. Pimpin'. An ally has been killed. Killing spree.
Say hello to my little friend.
A player is disconnected. Your team has destroyed a turret.